Hey there everybody, my name is Kat Bowser. I'm your resident fantasy therapist. Welcome back to my channel. Those of you here for the first time, welcome. My name is Kat Bowser. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm also a writer working on my first 2 novels, one the start of a series, one a standalone. And on my channel I like to talk about what I consider to be the heart of writing, and that's the psychology behind basically everything in a story, the world building, the characters, the motivations, all that stuff. Because to me that's what makes a story interesting. So that's kind of the angle you'll find with everything I talk about on my channel. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about an element that's used in some stories, and I think it can be used well, but I also think it can be used poorly, and that's the element of dreams. So dreams are fickle things. They are used a lot in the fantasy genre. Not so much as they used to be, but they still are used a lot. It seems to be a favorite way to kind of give information, kind of give a character a new route to follow, that kind of thing. And I think most of the time it just isn't done the best way. And I'll try to explain kind of what I mean by that. So here's the thing about dreams. Let's just cover what dreams are first off, which is basically we do not know. We don't exactly know what dreams are. There's a couple different theories on what they could be. There's some that say it's basically kind of like your brain defragmenting at the end of a day. Some people say it's your brain processing emotions and events that have happened. Some people say it's just random stuff that your brain comes up with while you're sleeping. But we have learned a little more about them over the years. And one thing to bear in mind, which I think is probably the biggest thing that most stories don't tend to follow, is that dreams are not logical. Most of the time, dreams, they don't make a lot of sense. They don't necessarily follow a particular sequence. A lot of times when people remember their dreams, what happens is they're processing their dreams through what I'm going to call a reality filter, because once you're awake, the part of your brain that does rational reasoning and all that stuff, it's awake too. So it tries to apply this stuff to these dreams. So let me give you guys an example. When I was younger, like probably 10, I distinctly remember a dream about a roller coaster that went up in the air, underwater, through mountains, through volcanoes, all that stuff. You know, sounds awesome. And when I woke up and I was remembering the dream, I realized that I was starting to put supports on the roller coaster, because in the dreams it had no supports. It was literally just hanging there. But in the process of the dream, that didn't bother me, because your logic center's turned off. So that's the kind of thing I'm saying. When we think and remember dreams, sometimes we apply logic that wasn't necessarily there when we actually had the dream itself. So when do we dream? You actually kind of dream all the time, but it kind of varies. Your most vivid dreams are going to be in REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement sleep. When you first fall asleep, your first activity of REM sleep is pretty short, but as the night goes on, it gets longer and longer, so your dreams can get longer and longer. Typically, we think people have between 4 to 6 dreams a night. Some of them related, some of them not, but they're basically little patches of dreams that you have every night. You can dream in non-REM sleep. Typically though, this is going to be less vivid, probably more vague kind of dreams, like more like I'll say it more like this would be more like a shadow or like an abstract, and REM sleep would be more like a photograph, if that makes sense to you guys. So the other thing is, a lot of times people bring up symbolism of dreams. You know, can you analyze and learn things from your dreams? Up for debate. We really don't know. People have different ideas on it. My personal interpretation is you can draw patterns from dreams. So I'll give you guys an example from someone I treated a while ago. I'm not going to give you guys all the details naturally, but so first year college student on a scholarship program, so which is basically one of those programs where you have to keep grades up. And they were having dreams of essentially drifting in an ocean and following deeper, deeper, deeper into the ocean. And they were surrounded by just, you know, the regular sea monsters that you think about from stereotypical, you know, novels and things like that. And that was their dream. So what can we draw from that? Feeling immense amount of pressure, feeling isolated, not feeling supported, anxiety, which, you know, you would think is like, oh, wouldn't that kind of be a given? Not necessarily. So I think that's really the benefit of dreams, of analyzing dreams, is looking for patterns and maybe emotions and thoughts in your life that you haven't considered. That's really, I think, the benefit of dreams. So when it comes to dreams and stories, the thing I notice a lot is that, one, they're too specific. Is generally that's the big problem I have with dreams when they're used in a fantasy setting, is it's usually somebody pops up and they're essentially giving the character a list of, here is what you need to know, X, Y, Z. And I understand why that's used as a storytelling point, and I think in like younger aimed stories, like, you know, middle grade and below, I don't think it's that bad. But once you start getting into like YA and adult, it kind of starts to stick out a little bit more. And I just think it's more interesting if you can maybe give, like I was talking about those patterns, maybe you can throw a pattern in there that kind of gets a character thinking and wants them to go and find out more information. That I'm okay with. I think that's an interesting way to do it, because sometimes we do dream things and we're like, I have no idea what this means, but I want to go and try to find out. So that to me is reasonable. The other thing is just that, one, a lot of times in stories, the dream sequences are way too long. I've read a couple stories where the dream sequences are literally like chapters. And I really think you should limit it to, like, I think the longest is maybe half a chapter. Because, like I said, dreams, we have lots of them a night. So while you can get a long one, like maybe a half hour, it's more likely you're going to get very short ones, very short bursts of dreams. And I think if you have a character that maybe looks back over their dreams and notices a pattern among the dreams they've been having, I think that works fairly well. But this long narrative, logical story that just pops up, that to me doesn't make a lot of sense, because that's not how dreams work. Even if you're talking about people that have been like through trauma and they're having reoccurring dreams of the trauma, it's not necessarily going to be exactly how the trauma happened. In fact, most of the time it's not. It's going to be focusing on usually the feelings of anxiety, the feelings of isolation, the anger, all these different emotions that they go through. So in some cases, are you going to get snippets essentially of what actually happened? Yeah, sure you are. But are you going to see it like, you know, word for word, frame by frame what actually happened? No, generally not. Let's see here. I think that's the basis of it, in that basically my big thing is the dreams used in stories are used as a plot device. They're used to provide the character with information, and not much more than that. And I just don't think that's interesting. Dreams can be a really good look into your psyche, and I think if I saw them used more for that purpose, I'd be a little more forgiving to them. And the other thing, the main thing, is most of the time the dreams written in stories make too much sense. I mean, that's really how it boils down to it, is if I read about a dream in a story, it needs to be kind of Alice in Wonderland-y. It needs to be not logical, it needs to not make a lot of sense, but maybe have bits and pieces in there that are really what you're trying to say. So I guess the downside is that using dreams, you have to be very careful when you use them, because it's very easy to just fall into using them as, you know, a plot device. And I think that comes across as lazy. But again, this is just my opinion. So you guys can have whatever opinion you want. And I'd actually would like to hear them. So give me your thoughts and opinions below. What do you think of dreams in stories and books? And what do you like? What do you not like when they're used? If you guys like this kind of content, let me know. Make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss when I upload. I try to upload about twice a week. Once beginning of the week, generally once at the end of the week, although it can vary depending on the week. And as always, if you guys have suggestions or topics you want me to discuss, let me know. I'm always happy to do that. And until next time, stay safe. Have a good one.